this piece. So, excuse me, we've been going through a lot in our country, right? And this past, well, this past week, it's been particularly intense. And it's no matter your politics, we just have been in an intense time. And there have been moments where I have really felt very grateful to have a yoga practice, because sometimes you just need to breathe deeply and you just need to settle down. So this favorite book of mine, which are the Yamas and Niyamas, I probably have read parts of this to you, but there's the first Yama is nonviolence. And that Yama, the others, Yamas and Niyamas, which are principles, they are the ancient sutra principles of yoga. Everything is built on nonviolence. And nonviolence isn't just what happened at the Capitol, that kind of physical violence. It's also not being violent about yourself and accepting yourself for who you are. And that's really the beginning of nonviolence, is accepting yourself. But anyway, the author is this woman named Deborah Adel. And have either of you ever read any of her? Are you familiar at all with her? This book is really quite something. Anyways, at the end of each Yama or Niyama, she writes and she gives suggestions on how to kind of practice that Yama and Niyama, which is interesting and something I've been thinking so much about and I wanted to share with you. But she writes at the end, she quotes a Holocaust victim. And I don't know if it means that this person died in the Holocaust or if this person simply was a victim in so much that the person was living in a camp. But it's a young person by the name of Eddie Hillesum. And Eddie writes just the most beautiful few sentences. Ultimately, we have just one moral duty: to reclaim large areas of peace in ourselves. More and more peace. And to reflect it towards others. And the more peace there is in us, the more peace there will also be in our troubled world. Now, that was written 75 years ago, and it applies today just like it did then. I'm just going to read that again so you've got it. Ultimately, we just have one moral duty: to reclaim large areas of peace in ourselves, more and more peace, and to reflect it towards others. And the more peace there is in us, the more peace there will also be in our troubled world. And then Deborah suggests, she says, in order to practice more peace in ourselves, we have to be courageous. There is a courage that we need. And she suggests that we all do one thing that we find a little bit challenging or a little scary. Because I think to some extent in this time of COVID, we've all kind of tucked in and we've all, I know, Seal, that you've gone through a lot during COVID, and I'm not trying to suggest that it's been easy, but I think our human nature is, how do I get myself more comfortable in this time of turbulence? How do I find more peace? And I think what Deborah Adel is saying, in some ways, if we challenge ourselves to do things that are a little bit scary, that can open up some space to fill with peace. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but she was saying, try to do one thing this week that challenges you, that may be a little scary or a little bit out of your comfort zone. And I have to tell you, I have been thinking about what that thing is. What can I do that's a little challenging, that's a little scary? And it's not easy. It's harder than you think. And I'm not sure I've exactly come up with it, but that's what I've been thinking a lot about. The peace, the inner peace to reflect out to other people, to bring greater peace and making room for peace. It's all kind of part of this yoga thing. So let's meet on our mats in child's pose. It can be wide leg, or you can have your legs close together. It really just kind of depends on what you're in the mood for. If you go wide leg, bring your knees out to the edge of your mat and sink your hips down and bring your arms out in front of you and see if you can get your forehead on your mat and just breathe normally. Just notice your breath. Notice your body, how your body feels, and breathe. Maybe rock your forehead back and forth. Take a deep breath in, and exhale completely. And again, breathe in and exhale completely. Empty out your belly. Stretch your arms out a little bit. Maybe you bring the pits of your elbows up off your mat, facing the ceiling. And sink your hips back to your heels, stretching out your back. And start your Ujjayi breathing, constricting the back of your throat. Notice where there is tension in your body, where there might be some stiffness, and just be aware of that as you come up to a comfortable seated position on your mat. It can be hero's pose on your knees. You can have your, you can sit on a block, or you can come into cross-leg pose, whatever is comfortable for you. Bring your hands to your knees, close your eyes, and continue that Ujjayi breathing. Breathe in 4 counts, hold at the top, and breathe out 4 counts. Breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Hold. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3. Hold. With Ujjayi breath, breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sip in some more. Fill up. Hold. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Push it out. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sip in. Hold. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do 2 more rounds at your own count. Bring your hands to your heart, thumb knuckles into your chest. We'll begin practice with the sound of 1 ohm. Breathe in and out. Breathe in. Breathe in. Open your eyes. Get your arms out in front of you like you're stopping someone. And we're going to open and close our fingers quickly for 30 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Really stretch. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Plug your shoulders in. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Good job. Clasp your hands together and reverse. Good. Place your hands on the mat in front of you and maybe go out and stretch out a little bit, bringing your lower back towards your heels, not rounding your back. Now come back up. Place your wrists on the floor with your fingers facing each other and lean into this. Now place your fingers facing your feet and lean into that. We're stretching out our wrists. Place your wrists facing each other and your fingers facing out. Good. Bring your left hand by your left hip and raise your right arm straight up overhead. Plug your shoulder into its socket. So your shoulders are down your back. Lean over to the left, bringing your right tricep close to your right ear. And we're keeping our sacrum firmly on the mat, and we're really just hinging at our hips. Over, come back up, look up. Bring your right hand down to your right hip. We're going to do the same thing on the left side. Bring your left arm up, plug that shoulder in, and hinge over to the right tricep by your left ear, and really hinging at your hips. Come back up. Let's do that same thing again on the left. Stretch up, really stretch up, and then hinge over, just moving your waist and your torso over, keeping your legs firmly in place. Come back up. And again, on left, hinge over. Great. Look up. Bring your hands back down in front of you and come forward, hinging at your waist, bringing your lower back towards the floor and really plugging your shoulders into the shoulder socket. Good. Now come back up. Bring your shoulders up to their ears, and now round and down your back. You know, and we spend so much time on our devices that our shoulders end up kind of up by our ears permanently. We're walking around like this, and our chin is jutted forward. So in this practice, if you have body intention. So many of us have stiff shoulders, right? So try to keep your chin back and your shoulders down your back, elongating your neck, really. Good. So let's stretch out our neck a bit. So bring your chin to your chest. Now bring your chin to the ceiling, looking back or up. Bring your chin to your chest. Now look up and down again and up again. Now bring your left ear to your left shoulder and your left shoulder's down. So you're really trying to get that ear to your shoulder. Come back up. Right ear, right shoulder. And for me, this shoulder is the one that's always sore because of using a mouse and because I'm so right-handed. Come back up, left ear, left shoulder, right ear, right shoulder. Now we're going to go around the clock. We're going to bring our chin to chest, left ear, left shoulder, look up, come around, right ear, right shoulder, breathing the whole time. So we're breathing. Maybe we're inhaling when we look up and exhaling as we come around and down. I think this movement is some of the most important stretching we do this entire practice. And reverse, go in the opposite direction. Good. So we've woken up our shoulders a little bit, our hands, our neck. Let's wake up our hips. Come to tabletop position. Your knees are right underneath your hips. Your wrists are right underneath your shoulders. And your toes can be flexed. So you can be up on your toes, or your toes and the tops of your feet can be on the mat. Look up for cow, drop your belly. Look down and arch your back for cat. Inhale, look up, cow. Really swiveling your hips. This is to wake up those hips. And cow, drop your belly. Cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. 2 more. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. And come up into a downward facing dog. Look at your hands before you do anything. Your forefingers are at 12 o'clock, and there's a lot of strength between your forefinger and your thumb. So we want to try to take some of the pressure off your palm by really engaging your fingers and that power kind of L between your forefinger and your thumb. Slowly, using your abdominal muscles, come back up into downward facing dog. It's the first one of the day. Adjust your stance in any way that feels good and pedal out your feet. Raising one heel and the other. And try to bend your knees enough to get your sacrum more in the direction of the ceiling. Of course, it's not pointing right up to the ceiling, but you can feel the difference. So straighten your knees and see how that feels. Now bend your knees and try to get your sacrum up. Feels a lot different, right? Very different stance. So certainly for the first down dogs of the day, we really want a super bent knee. Point your toes to the left side of your mat and bend your knees. This is a big side body stretch. Come back up on your tippy toes. Gotta wake those toes up too. Point your toes to the right side of your mat and bend Again, a big side body stretch. Come back up on your tippy toes, lower down. Maybe your heels make it a little bit closer to the mat, maybe not. Come back up on your tippy toes and tippy toe to the top of your mat. And many little steps, come up onto cupcake fingers as you approach the top of your mat. Maybe you step on your toes a little bit and lower down. Come up to a halfway lift. Your hands can be on your shins or up on your thighs. Stretch your back. Bring the crown of your head really forward. And again, your shoulders are down your back. So this is a big stretch. For me, this really feels good on my lower back. We dump into our lower back so much, and this is just a really nice stretch of that lower back. As you exhale, dive down to the floor, fingers on the floor. Come back up into that halfway lift position again. Breathe. You can step back to high plank. And let's stay here for a moment. So tuck in your abdominal muscles. See if you can bring your belly button to your spine, or like you're tucking in your favorite pants. Look down, your fingers, your forefingers are at 12 o'clock. Breathe here. Plug your shoulders into the shoulder blades. You don't want your butt up and you don't want it sinking down. You want it parallel. Go onto your knees and lower down halfway. Come up to upward facing dog, or you can go into a cobra. So you're on the mat and you're coming up, you're bringing your chest through that way. So either way works. And then slide back to a downward facing dog. So in the down dog, again, if you are feeling a lot of tension on your wrists, go to your knees. Don't stress out your wrists. Always, you can go to your knees and then come up into a downward facing dog that way. Pedal your feet out some more. And you can bend your knees and empty out completely and spring forward, or take a big step forward with your right foot. Bring your left foot up to meet it. Come up to that halfway lift. Lower down. Come up to mountain pose. Bring your arms up overhead. Plug your shoulders in. Look up. Dive down. Unlock your knees. Halfway lift. Should feel good. Hands to mat. Step back to high plank position. Again, if this is too much, put your knees on the mat, which is fine. Lower down halfway. Come up to either upward facing dog. You can have your thighs off the mat or your knees can be down, or cobra position. With cobra, your body is on the mat and you're just raising up halfway with your chest coming through your forearms. This position is actually more difficult for me than upward facing dog. And then just ease yourself back to downward facing dog and breathe. Employ Ujjayi breathing. Continue to pedal out your feet. Be gentle on your body. If anything doesn't feel good, don't do it. We want to push ourselves, but we don't want to hurt ourselves. And breathe. Either bend your knees, empty out completely, and spring forward, or take a big step with your right foot, left foot to meet it. Come up to halfway lift, lower down fully. Come up to mountain pose, look up, maybe take a little back bend. Dive down, hands to mat, halfway lift, step back, lower down halfway, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. in whatever combination works for you. You can play around with it. We'll do it one more time. You can take any of those combinations, knees, cobra, upward facing, springing forward, stepping forward, whatever combination in this particular sequence works for you. It's a vinyasa and you can design it. Empty out fully, walk or spring forward, halfway lift, forward fold. Mountain pose. Dive down, forward fold. Halfway lift. And step back to high plank. Lower down halfway. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breathe here, 3 breaths. Maybe your heels can get a little bit lower to the mat while your sacrum is up towards the ceiling. Play around with that a little bit. One more breath. Empty out. Step your right foot forward for warrior 1. Turn your left foot back about 45 degrees. Let's just get set up before we do anything too radical here. Your back foot is really digging into the mat on the blade edge. You come up. See where your hips are. You want your sacrum, your pelvic floor facing the mat. So you've got a neutral pelvis. Your front knee is over your ankle. And see where your hips are. Your hips and shoulders should be pointing straight ahead. So that means your right hip is coming back and your left hip is coming forward. So just see all these setups. So when we'll do a few warrior 1s and you can really play with this. Bring your hands to cactus. Bring your shoulder blades down your back. And now bring your arms up overhead and breathe. And sink into this. Good, you both look good. Maybe bend your front knee just a titch more if you can. Bring your hands to the mat. Bring your right foot back to meet your left and just go into a down dog and breathe here. So using all those cues to get set up, bring your left foot forward between your hands. Swing your right foot around 45 degrees and come up slow and just get set up. See where your hips are. See where your knee is over your ankle. Strong back leg. Cactus arms first. And then slowly bring your arms up overhead. And breathe into this and sink. Good job. Hands to mat. Bring that left leg back to meet the right. Come into an high plank. I like sometimes to do this. Instead of doing the chaturanga, I just come forward, kind of swing my chest through, and then I draw back to downward facing dog. So I'm not lowering down, but I'm doing a little bit of an upward dog into downward dog, if that makes any sense. Breathe and pedal your feet. Let's do another warrior 1 on each side. Step your right foot forward. Come up slowly. Check out your positions. Cactus. Arms up overhead. Breathe. Try to bring that right hip back and the left hip forward. And breathe into this. And sink. Hands to mat, right foot back, come into high plank, just come up and bring your chest through a little bit and then back to downward facing dog and breathe. Left foot forward, warrior 1. All those cues Take your time. Hands to mat. Step your left foot back. High plank. Come through maybe to a little bit of a upward facing and then downward facing. When you go back to downward facing dog, go slowly. Try to use your muscles to get back there. I don't know if a lot of times I think we just kind of heave our bodies around, and really being kind of very intentional with how you get into these different shapes. Step your right foot forward. We're going to come into a crescent lunge. So come high in your left toes and your knee is bent, and come up real slowly, bringing your arms parallel to the mat, and then slowly up overhead. Now, this is a balance, and so it can be a little bit tricky. You want to make sure that your feet are hip width distance. So if you're wobbling, widen your stance. And then slowly, maybe cactus arms first, and then bring your arms up overhead. Again, just like in Warrior One, your back leg is super powerful, but you're high in your toes, right? So we come up, here we are in this. If you wobble, don't worry about it. Just come back into it, or maybe widen your stance even more. Bring your hands to heart. Dig your thumbs into your chest cavity. That can help with balance. And twist to the right. So hook your left elbow around your right knee. Bend into your right knee. Try to draw your chest and your belly off of that bent of your right thigh. And you want to try to get your shoulders stacked and the crown of your head really coming towards the wall in front of you. If it's there for you, you can open your arms, come back up slowly with your muscles into crescent lunge. Bring your hands to the mat and step your left foot to meet your right. That's asking a lot. That's a real big move, I know. Lower down halfway. Come up to mountain pose and maybe shake your legs out a little bit. That's, those are big moves. So we'll practice it again on the left side. If you fall out, just get back into it. Even stretch. Take any stretch that feels good right now. Hands to mat. Halfway lift. Straight back. Step back to high plank and roll back to downward facing dog. Good job. Breathe. Using your Ujjayi breath in and out. Finding peace. Maybe our breath is really the greatest tool, when you're stressed out, I say just take, 10 deep breaths, and boy, it does work. Step your left foot forward, do it slowly, and make sure that you're hip width distance apart at least. So you really got enough width there, and slowly, you're high on your right toes, you're gonna come up, I bring my arms parallel, I see how that feels, and then come up overhead and breathe. Strong right leg. Bring your hands to heart, and we're going to twist left, hooking our right elbow around our left knee and bringing our chest and belly. Try to get it off of that left thigh. Good job. If it's there for you, you can open your arms. Breathe, breathe. Put your hands to the mat. Oh, no, sorry. Try to come back up to crescent lunge. Now bring your hands to mat and step your right foot forward. You can have your hands really on the mat and just step it forward. Maybe you've got to do it in 2 steps, that's fine. Bend, come up to mountain. Bring your hands to heart and breathe. Good job, our bodies are warm. My body's warm, I'm gonna take a drink. Come into a chair pose. So with chair, your toes can touch. You can get a block in between, right at the top of your thighs. That can bring some integrity because you're really drawing your thighs in. And then you're sinking your hips down. You look down to see if you can see your toes. Yep, I can. Now here's the tricky part. Bring your hands to cactus, right? And then you want to bring your triceps so that they're close to your ears. So there's a lot going on here. You got to see your toes. You're sitting back like you're really getting into that chair, but you also are getting your arms up. It's tricky, very tricky move. That's the shape that we want when we go into eagle. So we're really sinking down. And we're going to cross our right leg over. Your right toes can be on the mat, or you can lift them up and flex them right by your left shin, or you can try to wrap them around your left shin. It's a double bind. Now we're wrapping our right arm over our left, under our left. Breathe. If you fall out, just come right back into it. Find a drishti point. Bring your elbows up in line with your shoulders. One more breath, in and out. Come back up to mountain. Great. So now we're going to go back into that chair. I don't think you can do this pose actually with a block, but that block helps you in getting your chair set up because you're drawing your thighs in. So now here we are. We're going to go eagle on the left. So we're going to wrap, find drishti. Sarah, find your drishti. Toes can be on the mat. Flex by your right thigh, as shin, and wrap your left arm under your right and sink. Breathe. And stand up. We read yesterday that there are eagle nests in all 21 counties of New Jersey. That's a huge victory. Let's practice eagle again on the right. So sink down into that chair position. Yep, I can see my toes. Wrap, find your drishti point. Wrap your leg around. Wrap your arm, your right arm underneath your left. Shoulders and elbows parallel. Now try to bring your palms out in front of you, like you're making a forward thrusting beak of your eagle. If you fall out, just get back into it and breathe and sink. And come up and stand and look up, hello. And one more time, eagle on the left. Sometimes I wrap my arms and then I wrap my legs. I can get my toes around my shin on one side, but not on the other. And breathe. And come up to mountain pose. Look up. Good job. Bring your knee up, your right knee up to hip height. And you can hold on to your right knee with your right hand. Extend your left arm out to the left, and then draw your right knee over to the right. Flex your toes and see if you can look over to your left thumb. Bring your knee back to center and go to airplane. So like you're going through molasses, kick your foot back slowly. A little up dog in your chest. Your pinkies are drawn towards one another. Breathe. Bend your standing leg. Straighten it and come back to stand. So I've been thinking a lot about, and you can play with this, you know, perfection is not part of yoga at all, but these small, teeny movements. For example, when we go into airplane, we're kicking back. You can just watch me for a second. And we're getting a little up dog in our chest. We're stamping the wall behind us. We're drawing our pinkies towards one another. And I'm trying to get into bending my standing leg and then straightening it a little bit. Always unlocking the knee, but I think that gets it to be right in our muscles. So join me and try to practice that. So let's bring our knee, our left knee to hip height, and our right arm out to the right. Draw your left knee open and try to gaze over your right thumb. Unlock your right knee. Bring your left knee back to center and kick back to airplane pose. And if you fall out, just get back into it. Slowly. Breathing. Drishti. Stamp the wall behind you with a flexed foot. And put your foot back to the mat. Good job. Good job. Let's find our way to our mat to a seated pose. Bring your feet out right in front of you. Maybe tap your legs down. We just asked a lot of our legs just then. So we're going to tap them down and come into a boat pose. Whatever your boat pose is, you can have your forearms on the mat. Bring your legs up. Your legs can be bent. You can hold the back of your thighs and try to straighten your legs. Be on your sacrum. So you don't want to be all the way in your back and you don't want to be all the way on your butt. You want to be on your sacrum. Maybe you can go into a high boat with your arms outstretched. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Lower down to low boat. Look at your toes. Using your abdominals, try to come up to high boat and low boat and high boat and down. Good job. Come all the way down, head on mat, shoulders on mat. Really get everything on the mat and breathe. We're going to come up into a supported bridge or full bridge. So if you have a block, get your block and you can put it under your sacrum, maybe at the second highest height. See if that works. So come up, pull your hips up, and you can rest your sacrum right on your block in a bridge pose. Your toes facing the front, your arms are completely flat, strong on your mat. Stay here, try to draw your knees closer to one another, finding some strength in your legs, unclenching your butt. If it's there for you, maybe you can come up off your block for a moment or two, and then lower down. Breathe. Breathe in, come up off your block, lower down. If you don't have a block and you're just doing full bridge, I want you to just be coming up and down with following your breath. Maybe hold for 3 breaths up and then lower down. We're going to be here for another minute or so. So if you're on your block, come up off your block, breathe in, hold, strong arms in your mat, strong feet, and lower down. Breathe in, up, hold, really get your shoulders right in the mat. Breathe in and come back down and breathe out. Take a few breaths with your sacrum resting on your block. Breathe in, Ujjayi, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. On your next inhale, raise up so you're up off your block, right on your shoulders, and breathe out. We'll do it one more time. Let's just breathe a few times here, in and out. On your next inhale, raise your hips up. Breathe out, stay up. One more inhale up. And lower all the way down. Remove your block and go into Supta Baddha Konasana. The soles of your feet touching, one hand at your heart, one hand on your belly. While on your back, bring your right ankle to your left knee. Bring your hands behind your left thigh and draw it up so it's at a 90-degree angle. Place your right elbow against your right knee. We're in figure 4. Your back should be flat on the mat. Your toes are flexed. Push your knee away with your elbow and draw your left knee closer to your body with your hands. This is a hip opener. You should feel this in your right hip. Breathe. And bring your feet back down to the mat and do the same thing on the left. Draw your left ankle onto your right knee. Get your hands behind your right thigh. Draw that thigh towards your body and your left elbow against your left knee. And so you're sort of making a counter move. You're pressing that knee away and you're drawing the thigh closer to your body for a hip opener. And breathe. Breathe into this. Flex your toes. One more breath in. Good, and come out of it with your feet flat on the mat. Maybe you're going to rock and roll a little bit. So really roll out your spine on your mat, or just come up into a comfortable seated position with your legs stretched out front. Bring your arms up overhead. Look up. Draw your abdominals in as you hinge at your hips, drawing your lower back towards your knees, which should be bent. I can grab the soles of my feet, plug your shoulders into their socket for a deep forward fold. Breathing in and out. On your inhale, you expand. On your exhale, fold deeper. Come back up, bring your arms up to the ceiling. Bring your right foot into your left thigh. Draw your arms up. Swivel your body so your torso is facing your extended left foot. And now we're going to fold over that leg. Same thing, you're drawing your lower back towards your knee. You're not rounding your back per se. You're going to try to get your shoulder blades down your back and breathe into this with flexed toes. Your knees should be bent as much as you need it to be. This is a big thigh stretch. This is really stretching your hamstring. Bring your arms back up overhead and switch legs. Bring your left foot into your right thigh. Arms up. Twist your torso so it's facing that extended right leg and fold forward. Breathe into this. And come back up. Extend your legs out in front again, and now put your forearms on the mat. Your hands are open and they're, around your hips. They're parallel with your hips. Look up at the ceiling, and if you can, tip your head back. We're going to breathe 3 times, and we're going to do lion's breath. So we breathe in, and then we stick our tongue out and go ha out, okay? So breathe in. Ha. In. Ha. In. Ha. Come back up. Find your block and come into an inversion. I'm offering waterfall, but you can do shoulder stand if you like that. So with waterfall, you put the block under your sacrum, and really your legs should just pop right up. Your shoulders are firmly on the mat. You can really look at your toes. Think of 10 things that you're grateful for, or that you love, or that you like. Might be people, might be an animal, might be, I don't know, a place, a sensation. Could be a yoga pose. That might be pushing it. It might be world peace, or just peace in our own heart. Inversions are rejuvenation. Allows the blood to flow back into our major organs, rejuvenating us after the good work we've just done. 2 more rounds of breath. If you're in shoulder stand and plows in your practice, go back into plow now and take a few breaths there. And then move into wrapping your knees around your ears and take a breath there. And then slowly, if you're in waterfall, remove your block. Find your way to your back. Extend your legs out long and your arms out behind you, like you're stretching for the first time in the morning. Breathe in and out. One more time. And out. Draw your right knee into your chest, and with the assistance of your left hand, draw it over your body. So your right knee's going to the left side. Extend your right arm long to the right and look over to your right thumb. Supine twist. Come back to your back flat, and let's do supine twist on the left. Draw your left knee into your chest. With the assist of your right hand, draw it over your body. Extend your left arm out long to the left and gaze out over your left thumb. You want to stack your hips. If your shoulder pops up off the mat, that's okay. These twists are really good for digestion. Come back to center. Bring both knees into your chest. Tighten yourself into a little ball. Tight, tight, tight. Maybe scrunch your face. And Shavasana. Extend your legs out long. Flop your feet to either side. Palms face up. And rest. Good work. Bring some movement to your fingers and toes. And roll onto your side into a fetal position, cradling your head with your arm. And take some breaths here. When you're ready, come up into a comfortable seated position with your eyes closed. Bring your hands to your knees and breathe. Extend the crown of your head up to the ceiling. Draw your shoulder blades down your back and draw your chin back towards your neck and breathe here. Bring your hands to prayer. We'll end practice with the way we began, with the sound of one Om. Breathe in and out. Breathe in. Bring your thumb knuckles to your forehead. Look up to the light. The peace in me honors the peace in you. We bow and say together, Namaste. Namaste.